Hello friends, James Stevenson back with another edition of Who's Hating Hard on Tesla Today. Loki and I are happy to tell you that today's hater is Scott Galloway. I don't need to cut over to the Loki's bed cam right now because as you can see, I've got Loki right here next to me. So let's check out what Scott Galloway has been tweeting lately. There's the empty Loki's bed. And here's my desktop where Scott Galloway said, mental health tip, sell your Tesla. And he's got 23,000 likes and counting from that November 4th tweet yesterday. So what I want to share with you is the reply that I dropped on Scott. Notorious wrong valuer of companies. He and Jim Cramer have about the same accuracy level, which is to say abysmal track record of trying to value publicly traded companies accurately and make any kind of accurate prediction about what those companies will be trading for in the future, which is a valuable skill if you can cultivate it, but Scott and Jim Cramer have had a lot of difficulty over the years with it. So I wanted to remind people who might not be familiar with at Prof Galloway on Twitter by saying, like in 2019 when you said we should sell our Tesla stock, thinking emoji. And what did I drop here below it? Well, it's a visual aid. This, as you will instantly recognize, is the Tesla stock chart. Now this one was in between a couple of splits. So this was after the first split, which happened here in August of 2020, but before the 3-for-1 split that happened in August of 2022. So to get to today's stock price values, you'd have to divide these by 3. But I wanted to use this version of it because on October 4th, 2019, Scott Galloway said these were just overvalued unicorns. So these companies were overvalued here: Pinterest, Snap, Twitter, Peloton, Slack, DoorDash, Lime, Palantir, Uber, and Compass. And then below that, he put a short list of companies that were going to go bankrupt or would lose 80% of their value, which as an investor may as well be going bankrupt, right? Losing 4/5 of your money is almost the same thing as losing 5/5 of your money, right? So he said, we'll lose 80% or disappear. Tesla was number 1 on his short list, with WeWork, Robinhood, Lyft, and Oyo underneath that. Never heard of this company before. So I drew an arrow to helpfully guide the viewer's attention to where October 4th, 2019 falls on this chart. That was a lower than average valuation for Tesla over this 5-year period of time. Like there was a brief period in mid-2019 where it was lower than that. And then before that, you'd have to go back to, late 2016 or early 2017, as Loki takes a walk, to find a time when Tesla stock was as affordable. So what I wanted to show you is a skill that you can develop, because I will not always be able to reply to these kinds of silly tweets with this kind of information check on the history of somebody. So I'm going to walk you through the steps very quickly of how you can do the same thing I did. So you go to the search menu over here, and then in Twitter search, you're allowed, here's a couple of recent tweets of mine, you're allowed to search for at Prof Galloway as an example. So if I just search for that, it's going to give me every tweet from Prof Galloway, which is not what I'm looking for. What I want to do is filter that search down further. So one of the things you want to do is put the word from in front of it with a colon. So from colon at Prof Galloway. Okay, so now I filtered it down so it's only tweets that were sent by Prof Galloway. The next thing you want to do is put in more filters on it. So do I want tweets from all time? No, I probably don't. I probably want to limit the date range. So there's a couple of ways you can do that in Twitter search, and the relevant one in this case is until. So you type the word until with a colon after it, and then after that you have to specify your time range. And the format for doing that is the year, so we'll put 2020 here. And then the dash, and then I'll put 01 for January and 01 for the 1st of January. Okay, so that would give me all the tweets from Prof. Galloway in 2019 or earlier. So that's a pretty good filter set, but the next thing probably we want is to make sure it's not every single tweet he sent out, but only the ones that were about Tesla. So I'll type in the word Tesla here, and then I'll hit enter on that. And hey, there you go. The first tweet that came up was this tweet. We'll lose 80% or disappear. Tesla, that's the one that I found and screenshotted and dropped onto that chart. So I just use Keynote with the chart as my background, and then with the screenshot of this tweet, inset, so I just insert the picture, put a little gray border around it, and then I put that arrow to make sure people know, hey, that date happened at this point on this chart. And look how much it went up since then. Look what terrible financial advice that was from Scott Galloway at the time, and maybe call into question how good his advice is today as a result. But here's another tweet from Scott Galloway. Tesla and Lyft could lose 80% of their value. Elon Musk is getting sued by the SEC because of his tweets about taking Tesla private. WeWork, blah, blah, blah. Here's his podcast. Tesla will be acquired within 1 year, says this NYU professor back in 2019. So it would be real hard for anybody to acquire Tesla at this point with nearly $1 trillion valuation. All right, so you can see that's how the search thing works. And you don't have to make a fancy graphic out of it, right? So what you could do is just copy the tweet. So you copy the link to the tweet and then go back and reply with it. You just put a little emoji, a little thinking character, and drop in the link to this tweet, and then people would be able to see it. The disadvantage of doing it that way is that they can then see in their notifications that you dropped that reply on them and go delete that tweet. And once it's been deleted, if you don't have a screenshot of it, it's gone forever. So I recommend taking screenshots, so that way, even if people regret sending a wrong tweet years ago that aged very poorly, aged like room temperature milk, then even if they delete it, you've still got your screenshot. And that's my video for today on Who's Hating Hard on Tesla today. It was Scott Galloway, and he did turn off the replies to that thread now. But if you see Scott, send him my regards. Let's check in on Loki. How's he doing? He's up and alert. Hi, Loki. And I will outro and say, if you've enjoyed today's video, click the like button. If you're not subscribed to my channel, you could go ahead and subscribe. I do Tesla charts and forecasts and memes and Who's Hating Hard on Tesla today. And if you become a Patreon supporter of mine, you also get access to James and Loki's Gems of the Week, where I go through all the tweets that I liked every week and explain to you why I liked them. With additional commentary. That's a Patreon exclusive now because the view counts are so low on YouTube that they actually punish my algorithm and don't show my other videos to people if I make that series public. So with that, I will close and say see you in the next one.